Well, it's changed tremendously in every aspect, in both men's and women's side of the game. The game's so much faster physically, technically. Players are so much more advanced tactically. And on the women's side, we've seen a huge evolution in the rest of the world in terms of resource put into the women's game, the development of top players around the world, and so the competitive level has changed so much in the women's game. I never had a role model because I was just thrown in as a head coach right off the bat, and when you're a head coach you don't get to spend the time seeing other coaches. There are a lot of coaches I like and I've learned from. On the women's side, all of our former national team coaches I thought brought great qualities. Anson, the pressure defending, we still use that. Tony, the 4-3-3, we're still using that. April, using some different tactical approaches outside of a single system, we're using that. But again, I think the game is your role model, it's your teacher, it's what you learn from constantly. Another good question, because each coach is just completely different. I think all the top coaches have this burning desire to win, and they're determined to do it. Now their methodology might be quite different, but there's only one thing they want to do, and that's to win. When you look at Bruce, who did a great job for us, that was the way he approached everything. And so I think that's the one common quality, and then you decide how you want to go about doing that. Well, it's a critical component for us to continue to develop top players for our national teams in the future. I've coached at a lot of the coaching schools. I'm real happy to see the evolution of U.S. Soccer's coaching curriculum. I think we're moving more towards a game-based approach as opposed to a drill-based approach to coaching, and I think that's really important. I think in America in the past we've tended to overcoach players, we've tended to interrupt, we've tended to do things with drills instead of letting the players play the game and coach over the top of the game, help the players in the game. Well, I think video is the key. We use it for everything. Right now we're really working on our finishing technique and really being great at executing our finishing, because we feel like that's going to be the key for us this year. And so we're using video at training sessions, giving players individual feedback on their technique. Obviously scouting our opponents, getting video from all over the world, breaking down our opponents, understanding how to beat them. So that's probably the key aspect, technological aspect that we use. Well, I think for one, I think you look at the kids and you say, are we doing stuff they enjoy? Now, what do kids enjoy? And I think our approach to coaching has caused some of the burnout. Mm-hmm. If you throw a ball out there and let them play, they're going to enjoy the experience. And if you put it in a great environment where there's goals and they're up and back and playing and you're not interrupting it all the time, there's not going to be as much burnout. If you're putting pressure on the kids, if you're yelling at the kids, you're going to get more burnout. So a lot of it goes back to the coach and how he approaches it. But we even get burnout at our level. Bryce Scurry a couple of times taken some time off, and she took a year off and then came back, and I think that was important for her. This year we left 5 of our veteran players out of the China trip because we felt like they put so much into last year, they need a little bit of extra rest. They carried this team last year. And so, even at our level, we want to manage that so the players come back hungry and enjoying the game. Well, again, I'm really fortunate to have the group that I do have. We have a great mix. We have great leaders. We've got a lot of young players that are just happy to be here. They just come out every day with all sorts of enthusiasm. So from that standpoint, I think the player management issues have not been that much of a problem for me, and that's because of the quality of the players that I have. I think sometimes managing myself is something I have to deal with. I'm part Irish and part German background, and that can be kind of volatile. And my actual on the field personality when I play was very aggressive, very hard. So I think one of the things I've learned is just to be very patient, try and be patient, and even if I want to go out and make a decision right away, I just give myself a few seconds to think about things, relax, make sure it's the best thing for that player. And I think since I've done that, I do a better job managing players. Well, I think one is with this team is realizing this is not a college team, not a high school team. This is a team of adult women, and I try and give them a lot of freedom and encourage them to enjoy themselves. Again, I go to our leaders within the team, especially Christine Lilly, in terms of an ongoing maintenance. How are we doing? Are people getting along? But I think having a rapport with a team is a daily, ongoing process that you're just constantly monitoring. But I'm real happy with where it's at right now. Last year we spent most of the year developing our tactics, and we did that intentionally because we wanted to have our system down, everybody understand their role, fix any problems we had with it, and because we didn't want to have to be learning that this year. This year is all about execution, so we're spending more time on the technical end, and we know what we're doing tactically. We'll tighten that up a little bit this year, but this year we spent a lot of time on technical execution. So it's just whatever the team needs whenever they need it, and I don't really lean one way more than the other. Well, number one is I want a goal scorer that would prefer to do that than anything else. We need them to be able to trap a ball, pass a ball, but you want people that are very direct, want to get any chance they can to strike it on goal, and that's what they're passionate about. And we're fortunate we've got some of those, which is great. We want players that are just very aggressive, hungry around the goal, constantly looking for half chances. And then you're looking for people that are calm and composed at the end of it. Once they get that chance, they don't feel rushed, they know where the net is, and they can put it away. Well, philosophy is the same. With our team, I think we have a group of players that are very aggressive, very hard, and want to attack. And so our system and our style just feed into that kind of philosophy. And sometimes that means we change our system so that we can do that better. Against China, for instance, they were playing a very tight four-man midfield, and I felt like the only way we could get pressure was to match that with four in the midfield, so we played a 3-4-3. We were able to pressure them, be aggressive, and get forward and attack. And we're able to win that game. So that's what we're going to try and do. We're definitely not married to a single system, but more to what suits our players and how we can best attack our opponents.